Okay, I'm showing 6 o'clock. We'll go ahead and get started. Thank you, everybody, for being here this evening. And I'm going to start with a statement
Didn't touch anything.
that was prepared to discuss Governor DeSantis Executive Order number 2139, which extended Executive Order number 20-69, which authorizes local government bodies to continue to conduct meetings without an in-person quorum at any specific location. And they can continue to hold meetings using communication media technology, or CMT. On April 6, 2020, the city of Jacksonville Beach further approved at their public meeting the use of CMT and the alternative start times to conduct their council meetings and briefings. Accordingly, this city council meeting is being held in a modified manner using CMT. The council, the staff, and the public are not physically present in City Hall tonight. In a moment, the city attorney will explain the CMT procedures for adaptations for public attendance and public comment that have been put into place and are being utilized. The city council members and the city personnel are appearing through CMT. I'm going to go ahead and lead. I'm not going to have an invocation. What I'm going to ask everybody to do, the world's going through a lot, but our country's going through even more with the social discourse. And I'd like to ask everybody here and all the attendees to join us in a moment of silence and thoughtful prayer. Thank you. Okay, if you would please rise and face the nearest flag. Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, at this time, City Attorney, please state the CMT procedures and adaptations being utilized tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. The city provided a notice to the public on how to view, attend, and participate in tonight's virtual city council meeting. And some of the options through CMT that were noticed and made available include the public may view the meeting on live stream, and we provided the link for that on the Jacksonville Beach YouTube channel. They also may view live stream via Zoom technology. The public is offered an opportunity to listen to the meeting via phone, and we provided all of the information necessary to do that. We also provided information with respect to the hearing or speech impaired access. And our notice also provided that questions or comments may be submitted concerning any scheduled agenda item, and also submitted for courtesy of the floor portion of the agenda. We provided in our notice that written comments may be submitted via email to the clerk, via US mail at City Hall. We provided the instructions on how to do that and the email address. We also have provided public comment submission form on the City of Jacksonville Beach website. And we provided the information on how to access that and utilize that in order to submit comments and questions. Comments. And that we notified the public that all the written comments will be read into the record at the appropriate time when that agenda item is heard, and also during the courtesy to the floor portion. Those written comments will be limited to a reading of 3 minutes, as we would normally do in any of our city council meetings. And we provided instructions on to the members of the public on how to register in advance in order for them to be linked in to the Zoom technology to actually speak during the Zoom presentation. And we have Jacob on board to handle that. We notified the public that the public comments for courtesy of the floor will be accepted up until 5 minutes before the mayor opens that portion of the meeting. And also, I'd like to remind the city council members that we should not be using any electronic devices during the meeting, so as to avoid any perception of electronic communication concerning any council agenda items for tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Come and go ahead and call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Doherty,
Here.
Councilmember Demont,
Here.
Councilmember Golding,
Here.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Here.
Councilmember Nichols,
Here.
Councilmember Vogelsang, Mayor Latham.
Here. And we'll go ahead and start with 120, please.
I move that we approve the minutes of the regular council meeting held on June 1st, 2020. Second.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any debate by the council? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? By your action, motion carries. Announcements. Okay, let me go look for hand holding here. I got two hands up. Didn't see which one came first, so bear with me. Ms. Golding.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to give everybody an update because I've been talking with Councilman Roy Diamond from Jacksonville about Pimmon Road and the lighted pedestrian crosswalks that Jacksonville has promised us that they are going to do. Just so you know, the lighted pedestrian crosswalk at 4th Avenue North is in the process of going in right now. They will add the flashing beacons as soon as the concrete work is done. The other two lighted pedestrian crosswalks are going to be at 8th Avenue North and 15th Avenue North, and they are in the process of doing some design work for those, and they were not able to give us a date for when those are going to go in, but I just wanted to let everybody know about that. And then also wanted to let everyone know that Beaches Watch is having the annual police panel meeting on Wednesday, July 8th. This is a meeting that's done every year with all three chief of police for Jax Beach, Atlantic Beach, and Neptune Beach. And it's an opportunity for them to talk about public safety at our beaches, what's going on, and let citizens know how they can help with the public safety issues that we may be having. And it's an opportunity for citizens to ask them questions as well. It'll be 7 o'clock, July 8th. It'll be a virtual meeting, and the information will be on the Beaches Watch website at beacheswatch.com. And it should be a good meeting. Thank you.
Good news. Thank you very much. Ms. Hoffman.
I just wanted to let everybody know that the Beaches Museum is going to be reopening to the public on Tuesday, January 30th, and we are going to resume our normal operating days and hours. We did a lot of surveying of our visitors as well as our volunteers, so we feel like we're as ready as we can be to invite the public back to the Beaches Museum.
Great. Thank you very much. Mr. Doherty.
Thank you. I just really wanted to make a COVID-related statement. As everybody's probably noted or noticed, the media have been out at our city all day today regarding an outbreak that happened in some of the establishments over the last weekend. I'm quite proud to say that, you know, bar and restaurant owners sometimes get a bad rap, but in this instance, I'm really delighted that some of the other business owners are being extremely proactive, meaning they're actually putting people before profit. And there's been a number of places have closed for cleaning and for testing. But I think it was a big reality check for us all. You know, I, for one, had gotten complacent about COVID to an extent. And just from what's happened recently, you know, I've realized that it is still here. We still need to be very careful, but we also need to offer a unified front, both as citizens and as business owners. You know, there are so many people that are asymptomatic that could easily contaminate other people and make them sick and be completely unaware. So I'm just telling people, like both business and citizens, just to be extra cautious out there. You know, make sure you sanitize. Make sure if you think you're sick, stay at home, and if you need to, wear a mask. But I'm very proud in how the business community has responded, and instead of being told what to do, they've actually shown an initiative, and that's actually a really positive thing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Dumont.
Thank you. I'd just like to note that on June 27th, the Rhoda Martin Cultural Heritage Center is going to be doing a fish fry, $10 a person, socially distanced. And it's a great way for those who have not visited that museum to go check it out. There's going to be a new exhibit as well that's opening up that day, as well as a gift shop. It's something new that they're also doing. So it's going to be from 3 to 6 p.m. Again, $10 a person. It's fish fries, soft drinks, desserts. And if you don't eat fish or you don't like fried fish, there'll also be hamburgers and hot dogs. So I hope to see everyone there. And thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Nichols.
I had a couple of people reach out to me about some sidewalk work that the city of Jacksonville did on Penman. And just want to let everybody know the reason that so much was taken out is because the sidewalk was damaged. They were just doing safety repairs. Their contractor that's doing ADA repairs to the sidewalk, they're also tasked with repairing this stuff in the general area. And I just want the public to know that, you know, with Sandy and with the city that a full renovation of Penman Road is coming in the near future. And also just to concur with what Councilman Doherty was saying, you know, we just need to be very careful with the COVID stuff. If we really start to escalate again, I know we've canceled practically every city event. And, you know, I think if I know there's one coming next Saturday, and, you know, I really, if all of our businesses are shutting down because of it, I don't know if it's such a good idea to have a city-sponsored activity in Latham Plaza at the time, but just something to consider. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Hoffman, Mr. Doherty, Mr. Nichols, if you could take your hands down, I appreciate it. We'll get ready for the next items. Courtesy of the floor, I understand, Jacob, that you've got 4 members of the community that are looking to address us.
Yep, and I think the clerk's office has some written comments as well.
Okay.
The first call in is from Cassidy Kinkle, so I'm going to allow Cassidy to talk. Cassidy, are you there?
Hi.
Okay. There you
Yes,
go.
I am. Thank you.
Hi, Cassidy. Welcome. We're going to put
Hi,
you on a
thank you.
3-minute timer. I need you to start with your name and address, please.
Okay, my name is Cassidy Kinkle, and my address is 402 14th Ave South, Jacksonville Beach, Florida 32250. I'm here on behalf of First Coast Surfrider. Am I good to go ahead?
You bet.
Okay, thank you. So I would like to bring up the litter of expanded polystyrene, also known as styrofoam, in Jacksonville Beach due to the lack of containment at the Margaritaville construction site. So expanded polystyrene foam litter is a global and a local issue. It does not biodegrade in our lifetime, and it can impact wildlife when littered, in addition to being an eyesore and costing taxpayer dollars to pick up, and also disproportionately fill up landfills. It's made from non-renewable fossil fuels and synthetic chemicals that may leach out over time. We now have hundreds upon thousands of EPS particles leaching into our storm drains, beach, dunes, and oceans. So Jacksonville Beach News reported on this on May 21st. And on the 22nd, we started reaching out the 21st. On the 22nd, we were directed to the fire marshal and were informed there's a team of 10 vacuuming the shavings at the site. We were told that the subcontractors are being held accountable, but at this point, I'm unsure of what that accountability entails. We also unable to estimate how much of this is truly being removed from the sand and, of course, the ocean due to the small amount of shavings. As I walked the beach last week, I still found the styrofoam pieces along the tide's edge. So on behalf of Surfrider, I asked today how you guys plan to take action on this to ensure that this construction site, along with any others, are held responsible for ensuring construction debris is contained on site and properly disposed of. We're also happy to work with you on how best to combat this issue, as we've seen similar issues in other counties with Surfrider chapters.
Okay, thank you, Cassie. Appreciate it. We're not going to respond to you here, but we'll have a member of the staff reach out to you in writing. Okay.
Okay, we have one more call in for courtesy of the floor. It is Rick Catlett. And Rick, are you there?
Hello, I'm sorry to be a little bit late, but my name is Rick Catlett. I'm president of the Gator Bowl. That's 1 Gator Bowl Boulevard, Jacksonville, Florida. I kind of grew up at the beach. I just wanted to call in on behalf of the Deck the Chairs. As you know, for the last couple of years, the Gator Bowl's been bringing the teams down there, the bands, the cheerleaders for our pep rallies. And I started about, 4 or 5 years ago, taking my grandkids down there. And I think it's one of the very best functions for family members that the beach has put on all year long. And I just wanted to let you know that we solidly support that event and the organizers of that event, and are willing to do anything we can to help. So that's why I came here and spoke today. And if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. If not, thank you so much for allowing me to take your time.
Thank you, Rick. Appreciate it. Jacob, is there anybody else there to speak?
Nobody speaking, but I believe clerk's office has some comments to read.
Okay. Madam Clerk, the floor is yours.
Mr. Mayor, they actually belong to agenda item 20-122. And Deck the Chairs, if it's okay with you, I would read them during that same agenda item.
Yeah, I prefer that actually. I saw that on the sheet that was sent out that there were 4 members of the public that were looking to speak at courtesy of the floor. I guess we didn't hear from Joanne Lee or Linda Fogg.
Those are the comments that I was speaking of.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. In that case, we'll move on to item 121, please. We're going to, this is kind of a quick summary. We're looking for a replacement or a reappointment for a CRA member. And we held another round of interviews a week or so ago. And we've got a couple of people on the list that had listed the Community Redevelopment Agency as their first choice, including the Jeff Jones, James, who's requesting the reappointment. So I'm presuming everybody's had a chance to look at the paperwork. Does anybody want to have a discussion before we make a motion? Okay, in that case, Mayor Pro Tem, could we get a motion, please?
Sandy's hand was up.
I can't, hold on just a second. Okay, Ms. Golding.
I was just going to recommend that we reappoint Jeff Jones. That
Okay.
would be that. I didn't know if I could make a nomination, but if you would prefer the Mayor Pro Tem to do that, that's fine.
It doesn't matter.
I think in practice recently, we've opened the floor to nominations. I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Okay, then
Is
I
there any
nominate Jeff
nominations?
Jones for reappointment.
Okay, we've got a nomination for Jeff Jones. Is there any other nomination?
I'll second that.
Okay, we got a motion for Jeff Jones and a second. Are there any other nominations? Okay, Ms. Hoffman, if you want to read the motion.
I'm sorry, the motion that Sandy made?
Well, yeah, we need to basically
Okay.
make the motion that's on the agenda so that we can vote on it.
Okay, I move that we reappoint Jeff Jones to the Community Redevelopment Agency for a new 4-year term expiring on December 31st, 2023.
Second.
Okay, we got a formal motion and a second. Any
So Jeff,
additional discussion? Okay, Madam Clerk, can you get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Doherty,
yes.
Councilmember Demont,
Yes.
Councilmember Golding,
Yes.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols,
I said yes. Did you not hear it?
You were muted.
You're muted. And Mayor Latham.
Yes, and I'm sorry, I just noticed too on my notes that we had a speaker for this agenda item, Colette Sellers. Is Colette with us now?
Mr. Mayor, she had typed in the wrong number. It should
Okay,
be agenda item 20-122.
okay, thank you.
Mhm.
And then the other thing I'd like to mention is, city attorney, I don't know if this is, creates any kind of a problem, but one of the things I'd recommend that we do in the future is when we hold these boards, let's invite the chairman of the board or the chairwoman of the board to join us in the interview process. Do you see any legal reason to not do that?
No, Mayor, and I can't remember if I received an email from you or another council member, but that's or perhaps maybe Lori sent it to me, Madam Clerk did, but I think that's a good suggestion to have the chairman there. And I think part of the question or suggestion also included perhaps a staff member that would be relevant to that. I'm not sure about that, but I'm not sure if that was part of the request, but either one of those I think is a good suggestion.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Okay, we're moving on to agenda item 122. Is staff prepared to discuss it?
Yes, Mayor, this next item is looking to do a new 3-year agreement with Deck the Chairs. Vision of the Deck the Chairs event in the city's downtown over a 6-week window for each holiday season. Back on March 2nd at council briefing, the consensus was for staff to go back and negotiate a new agreement and to narrow it down to a 3-year window. So that way we could have time for the downtown hotels to finish their construction and see what the impact on pedestrian traffic would be in the downtown area to see how Deck the Chairs would fit in the future rather than doing a 5-year agreement or longer. The other key focus point that council had for us for guidance was to make sure that we had a right to audit within the agreement. So staff went out and over the last few months has negotiated with Deck the Chairs on a new agreement. Some of the highlights of the agreement that are in front of you tonight are that it would be for 3 consecutive years, beginning with calendar year 21-22 and ending in calendar year 23-24. There is revised audit language that is included under Section 9 of Deck the Chair's responsibility. There's a restructure of the city agreed services to include installing lights on city managed Latham Plaza and Pavilion Park space in City Hall, which is under the city obligation Section 6. There's also provision of an annual funding for $7,500 each year of the agreement to be used towards lighting and audio video expenses, which is under Section 7 of the agreement. The city would also maintain its financial language that's currently in there, which says that the performance and obligation to pay on the city's behalf is based on annual approval of the city council. And that is something that is a carryover with some clarification by the city attorney. And then Deck the Chairs requested that 2 new exhibits be attached at the end of the agreement. The $7,500 that's in there for each year, as you may recall from last year, Deck the Chairs came forward and asked for additional funding in excess of $10,000 for specific expenses last year, and that did not make it into the budget. This $7,500, I think, is basically a menu list that they can use the monies towards certain items that are referenced within the Deck the Chairs agreement. One of the reasons that there is a dollar amount being proposed going forward over the next 3 years is that in holding the community conversations over the past few months, there definitely has been a desire to continue and maintain, quote, family-friendly activities in the downtown area. And for those of you that may have seen the survey results that were sent out a little bit earlier today, Deck the Chairs also rates rather highly amongst the people that find that to fit that category of family-friendly. I do have Jason Fatides online as well. And my understanding is there are several members of the public that want to speak to this event, but staff is also here to answer questions when we're ready to get to that point in the discussion.
Thank you, sir. And Mayor Pro Tem, we'll go ahead and read the motion, then we'll open the floor to the citizens.
Move that we approve an agreement with Deck the Chairs, Inc. for the planning and operation of Deck the Chairs event for a 3-year term commencing January 11th, 2021.
Second.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. And Jacob, are you going to take control of the callers? I see we have 5.
Yep, and we have Curtis Loftus here who is representing Deck the Chairs, who's scheduled to be on video. So he should be coming through in just a second.
We're going to let him go first.
Yep.
Do you see me? Wait, hold on. All right, maybe I should pop up. Hello.
There you are. Hi, Curtis. If you would go ahead and start with your name and address, and then you'll have 3 minutes.
Hello, everyone. I'm Curtis Loftus. I live at 348 Aquatic Drive in Atlantic Beach. And thank you for your time this evening. And by the way, my heart goes out to the downtown Jax businesses, especially Keith, the other bar owners. It's been a challenging week, and I've been thinking about you guys. So all prayers that you recover and everything's back. Just get back to normal as soon as possible. So here's the letter. I sent this as part of a packet, and I'm just going to read that, and should hopefully take less than 3 minutes. Jacksonville Beach has worked decades to position the city as a great place to live, work, and play. As a young organization, Deck the Chairs appreciates the opportunity provided by the city leadership to create a unique public-private partnership that supports the positive narrative that winter at the beaches is safe and welcoming. In 2012, the Jacksonville Beach winter holiday season was dark, and the downtown space was void of Christmas decorations and activity. Residents and business leaders took notice and activated themselves to develop a concept that could provide a family-friendly holiday experience at the beaches. In 2013, Deck the Chairs was launched and instantly captured the imagination of the beaches by welcoming residents and visitors to a safe, fun, and creatively decorated beachfront space. The DTC mission, promoting the arts and fostering community pride and involvement through a creative display of public art featuring lighted, iconic lifeguard chairs, supports the vision of Jacksonville Beach and helps promote the city's 8 community core values: safety, family-friendly, walkability, small community feel, open space views to ocean beach access, entertainment, gathering place, and mix of uses. Since its unique inception and humble beginnings of decorating and displaying 18 lifeguard chairs, Deck the Chairs has grown into a $250,000 annual effort with 6 weeks of free public art exhibits and programming, as well as park space management and maintenance. The event is a major logistical effort challenged by unpredictable weather elements that few promoters would dare ever take on. However, because of its design and the support of hundreds of volunteers, it is well managed and maintained in a way that the city can be proud. Following the formal partnership in 2016, DTC of Jacksonville and Jacksonville Beach have seen steady event growth through additional free programming and stronger private partnerships. In 2019, Jacksonville Beach Deck the Chairs hosted more than 65,000 visitors. JBDTC has garnered national recognition from People Magazine, Insider, and Coastal Living. We have produced dozens of positive and inspiring stories and have been the recipient of countless unsolicited, uplifting stories about our beautiful, creative coastal community. DTC is proud of the partnerships we developed with the city of Jax Beach. Our work is garnered the positive national attention for the beaches area during the holidays by promoting public art and creativity in a welcoming, safe environment. How much time do I got left? This is almost done. DTC provides positive impact for many small businesses. Over the past 7 years, several restaurants have tracked sales receipts during December and shown as much as 30% increase over same month previously without DTC in the park. Through continued strong city support, we believe Jacksonville Beach Deck the Chairs can be a sustaining economic engine for the beaches during the winter season. We all want to live in a community that is safe. Our beaches story is defined by what we promote. There are many ways we can promote a diverse, safe, and culturally progressive area. There are many ways to partner and engage community friends, leaders, and civic-minded neighbors. We hope that our hard work together with your leadership is the beginning of a template for future partnerships. We hope that more and more people get inspired by what we are doing and find ways to insert themselves into making the beaches the best it can be. Finally, DTC is organized and run by your neighbors. We are fathers, mothers, sons, and daughters. We are business owners, property owners, and loving friends. We are the beaches, and we want to stand with you in a desire to continue building a message that truly fits our passion for why we live and raise our children at the beach. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. Jacob, are you going to control the
Yep.
call-ins? Okay, we're ready when you are.
Okay, one second. Okay, next we have Ken Marsh, who I'm going to allow to speak now. Mr. Marsh, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Loud and clear, Ken. If you would start with your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes, sir.
All right, Ken Marsh, 2011 Gale Avenue. I just wanted to say that I'm a major supporter of Deck the Chairs, and as such, support extending the DTC for 3 more years. I had quite the list of the positives, but Curtis has already covered that, so I will not. But in spite of the many positive things he noted, I also have heard concerns and questions regarding the cost versus the benefit of this event. Consequently, Curtis is here having to convince council about its benefits tonight. I firmly believe that you'll do the right thing and grant Curtis the 3 years. Unfortunately, this approval will be based primarily on council opinion. And because we've never done a survey or tried to wrap our arms around any measurable social or economic impact of this or any festival for that matter, we essentially rely on this opinion alone in assessing the worthiness of this event. In the memorandum tonight, it states the 3-year term affords time for completion of the hotels, but also the future determination from City Council as to where the DTC event fits within the framework of future downtown events. So my question to council tonight is, 3 years from now, how will council determine how the DTC fits within the framework of downtown? Is it going to be determined on opinion again, or is it going to be more substance behind this? We have a tremendous opportunity to use our plaza more effectively. When it sits vacant, it's an asset in idle. We're unique. We can leverage these events and bring a lot of good things to the businesses and communities downtown. So moving forward, I have a recommendation. The CRA is progressing, adding a position whose role will be delivering the mission of a better downtown. If we truly believe that our events, including DTC, are a vital component of our downtown framework, then we should also incorporate into that job responsibility some linkage on how this and all special events fit in both directly and indirectly. There are many ways to determine impact and importance of events. Tonight, Mike mentioned, I think that it came out in the vision plan workshops, how important DTC was. So just having surveys and interviews can be a simple way, or we can get more complicated with analysis. Regardless, there are ways to better shape a decision than just council opinion. So tonight, I encourage you to support Curtis and the DTC organization, but to also develop a better event assessment for them and other event promoters in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. And I don't normally jump in, but you may not have been here earlier on when we were talking about the survey conducted by Jason Fathides, but there were 9 events that are evaluated. Of the 9, Deck the Chairs was ranked the highest in appreciation by our residents with 26%. In second place was Spring in the Blues with 19%. So we do have, in fact, some data that we got from Parks and Recreation, so that it's not just an opinion thing, but thank you. Okay, next.
Yep, next we have Ross Thompson. Ross, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay, and Ross, you also submitted a comment to be read, but if you take your turn to speak, they'll put your comment into the record, but the clerk's office won't read it.
Okay, I responded to that email earlier
Oh.
today saying you could go ahead and read it, but I can read it if you'd like.
Oh, I didn't get that. Yeah, if you want to go ahead and read it, I think that would work best.
Okay. My name is Ross Thompson. I live in Jacksonville Beach at 1016 First Street South, Jacksonville Beach, Florida 32250. Have 4 reasons why the city should not support Deck the Chairs. Number 1, Deck the Chairs Inc. does not meet its stated charitable purpose and should not operate as a public charity. Deck the Chairs Inc. no longer gifts to a specific name charitable organization. In Deck the Chairs Inc.'s most recent public tax filing, that's 2018, Deck the Chairs reported total revenue of $131,629 and gifted only $7,000 of that to its named charitable purpose. Deck the Chairs Inc. operates, their operating expense ratio for 2018 was over 91%. That's not good. The calculation for that is 120,690 divided by 131,629, which equals 0.916, which is where the 91% comes from. Better Business Bureau says 35% is what the maximum a charity should be for their operating expense ratio. Again, Deck the Chairs is 91%. This indicates that 91 cents of every dollar Deck the Chairs makes goes to operating Deck the Chairs. Deck the Chairs does not meet the standards of a 501c3 public charity. To be tax exempt under the 501c3 of the Internal Revenue Code, an organization must be organized and operated exclusively for exempt purposes set forth in section 501c3, and none of its earnings may inure any private shareholder or individual. That's a quote from irs.gov. On page 13 of Deck the Chairs 2018 Form 990, that's their tax form, it says, I quote, volunteers perform all of the activities of the organization, including the design, implementation of the holiday festival chairs, lights, and music. On page 10 of that same form, Deck the Chairs list management fees as $46,700 and other costs at $73,990. That means that management fees were almost 7 times the amount gifted to the only named charitable purpose of Deck the Chairs in 2018. Number 2, Deck the Chairs has not accurately reported its financials to the IRS. In-kind donations are not accounted for on their tax filings. The city of Jacksonville Beach taxpayer pays almost all of the expenses for operating the Holiday Lights event, to include the construction, maintenance, movement, and storage of all the city-owned lifeguard chairs, the storage location on city property in a city building for Deck the Chairs to put their equipment and property in, and the rental for the property the Holiday Lights display is placed, as well as the cost of all the electricity for the event and filing and permit fees. Number 3, the city should not invest taxpayer funds to support or operate Deck the Chairs or any event it runs. Deck the Chairs, Inc.
Mr. Thompson, you're over 3. Let's wrap it up, please.
Okay. The prohibited action has been referred to the IRS criminal and civil investigative offices. The city should run its own Holiday Lights event itself. They could do so at less cost than Deck the Chairs. And the last part, the city chooses to continue the relationship with Deck the Chairs, the city of Jacksonville Beach should have and exercise full audit of Deck the Chairs Inc. That means look at cash flow in and cash flow out, as well as guard taxpayer funds from prohibited conversion to private individuals, and prepare for a potential investigation by the IRS for allowing or supporting prohibited use of taxpayer dollars. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I understand we have 2 more, Jacob, or 3 more.
Yep, somebody named Malcolm Marvin registered to speak, but I do not see him on the attendance list. So I think we can go to the clerk's office and they can read comments now.
Okay. Madam Clerk.
Okay, I just wanted to make a brief statement before I start reading. I have 6 comments that I want to read into the record, and I want to go ahead and tell you that I'm going to read them in the order they were received.
Okay.
The first one I received is from Janelle Wilson, 2014 South Oceanfront, Jacksonville Beach, 32250. Deck the Chairs has become an important community event that has grown each year and is family-friendly event that we have said we aspire to have. Not only does it attract our own citizens, but attracts others from surrounding areas that attend and spend money in our shops and restaurants. The idea was born after the city of Jacksonville Beach had no holiday decorations one December. A small group of ladies from Pablo Towers came to our city council meeting one night to plead for reinstating holiday decorations. In trying to decide exactly what we should do, Curtis Loftus presented an idea for Deck the Chairs, which would provide holiday decorations as well as be a benefit fundraiser for the lifeguards. Thus, the theme of the decorated lifeguards chairs. It started out small the first year and now has grown into a regional attraction. It was suggested at a council workshop that we put it out for bid and see what other ideas would be presented. Normally, I would be in favor of that. However, with the occurrences of this year, with the pandemic and the protest marches, I feel we need the stability of continuing the Deck the Chairs tradition. Therefore, I urge you to approve the contract extension with Deck the Chairs. Thank you, Janelle Wilson. The next one I have is from Laura Kurtz, 1290 3rd Avenue North, Jacks Beach, 32250. My vote is a resounding yes for this. Deck the Chairs has become the highlight of the holidays in our community. I am fortunate enough to have children who are now college, high school, and were able to grow up enjoying this most magical event and continue to enjoy it and participate as most adults. It is so professionally organized, and every year it just gets better. It continues to bring such positivity and happiness to our community. One of the best investments for our city by far. The next one is from Joanne Lee, 33 Alhambra Street, Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida, 32082. Deck the Chairs is an inspiring, all-inclusive, family-friendly event that brings family together for fun, fantasy, creativity, education, religion, music, social interaction, and all set in a most magical oceanfront setting involving scores of volunteers. Utilizing the lifeguard chair as its symbol of vigilance, strength, skill, patience, wellness, and hope is brilliant. The next is from Linda Fogg, 4514 Milton Park, Circle East. I hope tonight that you extend a 3-year contract of Deck the Chairs. It is the best event that Jacks Beach has helped to sponsor. People have come from many different places outside this area. They come to share a family experience that exceeds their expectation. I've been a volunteer with DTC for numerous years, so I can speak from personal knowledge. The people who attend this month-long event all share the love and joy of the season and also gain an education about how sensitive our beach and ocean is connected to us. This event needs to receive the continuous contract, which is so beneficial to both people, businesses, and the best PR for Jacksonville Beach. Linda Fogg, a beach resident for over 73 years. The next comment is from Colette Sellers. Deck the Chairs has been the most family-friendly event that our city has hosted in many years. The idea has caught the imagination of children of all ages, from the dog sled so lovely cared for by Maria and Stefan to Jellyfish Park, to the associations. Hundreds of us wait and watch for the displays to be built and come out night after night to walk through the Wonderland. Children grandparents, hot chocolate lovers come to visit. Curtis and Margaret can be spotted every evening making sure the lights are working and serving snacks and hot drinks. They have inspired other groups to join in, such as the Beaches Go Green, who build the Jellyfish Park to remind us to be better stewards of our oceanfront community. With all the love and hard work that hundreds of Jax Beach citizens pour into this annual month-long project, which is now known throughout the United States, who has a better idea? It's one of a few achievements that we can point to as a great family use of our fantastic Latham Park, and not a beer in sight. We do not have a children's playground on the plaza. We do have a very nice parade for 45 minutes, one day a year, and temporary rides set up during adult festivals. Now we have this great December month-long event. What do you have in mind that could top this family event? Respectfully, Colette Sellers. My final comment is from Reverend Nathan Lowen, 730 Paradise Lane, Atlantic Beach, Florida, 32233. Good evening, Jacksonville Beach City Council. I want to thank you for allowing Deck the Chairs to operate over the past 9 years. What it does for the community is amazing. It has taken a dark area and bright light. It is my family's personal favorite holiday adventure. We go several times each year. DTC has worked hard to showcase talent, art, and the community. I pray that you would consider continuing to allow DTC to partner with Jacksonville Beach to provide this amazing community event and spirit. Yours in Christ, Reverend Nathan Lowen, lead pastor, First Christian Church of the Beaches, president of the Beaches Ministerial Association. And that's all that I have.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. We already got a motion and a second on the floor, so I'm gonna open for discussion.
Mayor Latham, we have one more person who's emailing that they weren't able to register, but they're online as an attendee and they'd like to speak.
Okay.
Okay, we have Anne Marie Moquin, so I'm going to allow her to speak.
Okay.
Anne Marie, you should be able to speak now if you're there.
Anne Marie, if you would please.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Anne Marie. If you would please start with your name and address, and then we'll give you 3 minutes to say what's on your mind.
Of course. My name is Anne Marie Moquin. I live at 587 Atlantic Beach, Florida. I'm the founder of Beaches Go Green, and we've been fortunate enough to participate in Deck the Chairs for the last 2 years as a major component. And I would like to say that I've witnessed Curtis be unselfish and giving and incredibly hardworking to put on this community building event. I'd like to say it's an amazing non-denominational holiday celebration that gives us a great opportunity to bring our beaches community together, invite people from other areas that aren't at the beach to come and enjoy a special safe holiday time. I can't get past the comments of the person earlier who was all negative about Deck the Chairs. I feel like that person was a little bit grinchy. If you've ever been there, there's nothing like not happy about it. I mean, you walk around, kids are having fun, adults are having fun, people are smiling. It's an alcohol-free event. Like, there is serious hardcore family holiday bonding going on. And, you know, the enrichment programs with the dancing and the singing and the bands. And I mean, Curtis has masterfully brought together so many different pieces of the community and created such a unique event. Now, I'm not an IRS expert, but I would love to shoot holes in a lot of his accusations. I think he underestimates the sheer work that goes into it. I mean, we busted our butts day in and day out to make sure those lights were on, make sure everything was ready, because it's a special experience for everybody every single night during that time period from Thanksgiving all the way to New Year's. And so we did our best to make sure it was ready for everybody. So I would be super disappointed, and I think it would be a huge disservice to the community for you to discontinue this amazing program. As a matter of fact, I have talked to Curtis many times and told him that He needed to be more selfish and have more support for this program because, I mean, if you've ever seen Curtis, he probably drops 20 pounds during the season, just busting his butt, making sure this event is perfect. And it's not like he's a big guy. So he needs some extra help. We need to come together as a community and keep building up this amazing thing. Sure, are there always ways we can improve it? Absolutely. But the money, I mean, am I running out of time? Okay. I mean, we anticipated, and I see you guys smiling. I know I'm crazy. I was there. I was in the trenches. You know, you think you're going to spend something, but if the lights aren't on, you go to Home Depot, you go to Lowe's, you buy the extension cords, you replace the lights. You want to keep it magical. So yeah, we spent a lot more money than we thought we would need to, but it's an amazing experience. And it would be really sad if it went away from our beaches. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne Marie. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Jacob, anybody else last minute?
Nobody else.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the floor. Opening the floor for debate. First with Mr. Doherty.
Thank you. Some very passionate speakers there. It's refreshing to get such positive feedback about our events. I don't think there's any of us on the council that actually have any serious issues with deck the chairs. As it's been noted, you know, we had a dead period in the month of December where the plaza was being underutilized or not utilized at all. So the Deck the Chairs event has definitely filled that void. It's had extremely positive feedback. It's grown from strength to strength each year. It's great for our community. Very, very, very positive. And I mean, yes, Curtis, come to me and I'll feed you during Deck the Chairs so you don't lose all that weight. But the only question I really had, and it's for our city attorney, Chris, the annual funding of the 7,500, is there any way that is going to set a precedent and possibly lead to other promoters complaining that, because I know we cut funding for Spring in the Blues, legally, how can we justify this expenditure when others have had their funding cut or others may get denied funding?
Well, Councilor, that really is a discretion of the council. It's hard to say it's the discretion of the council members to decide which events should receive some level of funding and that amount of funding, and whether they should appropriate that amount each year. But it's going to be hard to speak to what the other promoters might expect or want once they see this agreement, if council approves this agreement. But it appears to me that this is funding that is utilized it's typically in kind, is my understanding, is that it's not absolutely direct funding, but that it is a benefit that the event does receive rather than direct funding. And the manager might be able to enlighten me on that, but I've never thought that it is a direct $7,500 fund.
Yeah, I'd like clarification on that, because I know other council members have asked for an assessment done on the in-kind. The way I read it is it's a $7,500 donation for audio video expenses. Can somebody clarify that? Is this an additional amount of money?
Yeah, if you go to page 4 of the agreement, under section 7, the city agrees to annual funding of $2,500 for each year of the agreement to be used towards any or all of the following: A, lighting and installation costs of holiday music, tree and light show; B, audio video equipment and lighting costs for stage programming; and then opening night and night of music and dance. So it's
not in kind.
It's restricted to those uses is what it is. And the way that it's written within the agreement is it is still subject to the annual discretion of the city council. If city
Yeah.
council says we do not fund it for this year, then it does not get funded for that particular year.
Right.
Right. Councilmember Doherty, I included in the contract when we revised it, a few extra terms and clauses that would help us be able to better track and audit and account for expenditures that we make. So we have a broader scope of accounting and auditing and tracking tools available to us now in this agreement. So it'll help us control to control and monitor the costs.
Okay.
I would also like to, Councilmember Doherty and to the rest of council, at the bottom of page 4, the section that Chris is referring to is subsections 9A and 9B. 9A stipulates any additional city funding as referenced in 7 above will be subject to annual approval by the city council at their sole discretion and budget availability. Both the purpose and the specific use of the city funding may be approved annually at the sole discretion of council. And then section B, city funding will be paid on a reimbursement basis following the presentation of receipts and other appropriate supporting documentation as determined by the city.
Okay. Well, thank you for clearing that up. There's one thing I wanted to just mention, and it's an observation that I've noticed as Deck the Chairs has grown in popularity and attendance, and that's the issue of traffic on First Street. I know it's not part of this agreement, but I'd like to see something put in place that we can basically either put a crosswalk in or close off that area, because I've noticed that there's times where the cars are not slowing down and people are trying to cross to see the displays. So, you know, if we do go ahead with this, and I support this idea, I would like to just tighten up the safety aspect a little bit, and I don't know if that falls on us or the promoter. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Hoffman.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say I have a couple things. I really like the length of the 3-year agreement. I think that's a very fair and reasonable length of time. And I feel like the agreement is also more comprehensive than we've seen in the past. I had a few questions about the $7,500, most of which were asked and answered during Mr. Doherty's questions, but it is a little risky on the Deck the Chairs side of spending the funds and then hoping to be reimbursed. But I do think that's fair and probably the best way to make sure that we adhere to the limitations of that funding. I did want to ask the city attorney to comment on Mr. Thompson's points with regards to potential IRS issues. I know he's met with Mr. Thompson and evaluated these items. And do you feel any hesitation on our proceeding with this contract?
Yes, ma'am. I think it was last year or early this year, but I met along with Jason and we interviewed 6 different people with respect to some of the questions raised about the accounting of Deck the Chairs. And those people included the longtime CPA of Deck the Chairs, the longtime attorney representing Deck the Chairs. Both, again, of course, are licensed, certified professionals with longstanding reputation locally. And I asked them for their review and opinion of the claims and the situation. I also spoke with Curtis and just Jason and I, and we spoke with Charles Bond, the president of the Corps, Captain Rob, and we also spoke with Mr. Thompson. At the conclusion of all those interviews, and I think Jason agrees with me, we felt comfortable that we had no concerns about the expenditures and the accounting, and it all made sense to us at that time. I did not, and without council's instruction, I'm not going to go digging into IRS code and laws and reporting requirements. But at the conclusion of those interviews, Jason and I were very comfortable to continue to move forward under council's direction to prepare an agreement and to help council prepare for moving forward with Deck the Chairs for another 3 years.
Thank you. And then finally, I would say to the Deck the Chairs board that I think that this is an organization that's no longer in its infancy. So this is probably an opportunity to really make sure the 990 and other reporting mechanisms are really solid and that really accurately represent what's going on with the organization. And for our part, I just want to ask Mr. Fatides and anyone else involved, I think if we can give a really fair and comprehensive tracking and reporting of any in-kind or cash donations that the city is contributing to Deck the Chair, so that it'll be easier for them to more accurately report it on their annual reporting through their 990. I think that that would be a benefit for both us and Deck the Chairs. But I've been a longtime fan of this event. I've volunteered at it. I've sponsored a chair, and I look forward to continuing to support Deck the Chairs for the next 3 years.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Dumont.
Thank you, Mayor. Oh gosh, so much. I support Deck the Chairs. I volunteered with them. Remember that first year? I think it was you, me, Curtis, and someone else, Charlie. We took that little picture right in front, like the year that there were maybe 6 chairs, the first year. And I've been involved with them since then. My husband likes to be known as the trash guy. He empties trash every morning throughout the event while it's going on. I'm going to start with Mr. Thompson's concerns. I agree with the city attorney. I know a lot about nonprofit tax forms and nonprofit organizations, and the Better Business Bureau, the argument of the 35 or 25 or 15, depending on who you want to talk to, that administrative costs shouldn't be more than 25, 35% versus programs. And they're not. What you're looking at is the actual cost of putting on the event, which is huge. I know that in the tax forms they have not been very up to date on keeping track of in-kind contributions. Curtis does give us that information every year when he talks to us about what the event has done. He includes a lot of the in-kind contributions, such as artistic contractors and Beaches Go Green and all of those. And it is a huge amount. And tax-wise, the organization is not doing anything shady. The organization itself, Deck the Chairs, what it brings to the city aligns with what the city's goals are. So there is public safety. People feel safe walking around down there with the lighted deck chairs. Environmental protection, a little bit different, but we did have the Beaches Go Green there this past year, which did a great job explaining to all the visitors about environmental concerns and keeping the beach and the ocean clean. Sense of community, just Deck the Chairs kind of hits it out of the park. It is a community event. Sense of place and neighborhood, it brings that definitely. Responsible government, we're going over that right now, and there's nothing wrong with oversight. I am a huge person on accountability, nonprofit accountability specifically. And as the organization grows, more oversight and more systems will be put in place to ensure that accountability, specifically of the taxpayer dollars. And the final goal of the city is reliable electric service, unless it's like a nor'easter and the lights go out on the deck, on the lifeguard chairs like they do every year, because we always have a lot of storms. But they get those lights back up again. Specifically, when we look at Parks and Rec, what Park and Rec's goal is to create a sense of community, enhance the quality of life by providing safe, well-maintained parks that offer recreational activities for citizens of all ages. That is the goal of Parks and Rec, and Deck the Chairs completely aligns with that. When it comes to the cost of Deck the Chairs, the city side of the cost of Deck the Chairs, remember, this is a city-sponsored event, so that's why the city is putting money into this versus some of the other events that are completely done by sponsors and people who are renting out that space. This is a cooperative event. This is a public entity being part of a private entity where the private entity is doing the heavy lifting for the city. It was noted that the city can put on Deck the Chairs. The city could not do that for the amount of money that Deck the Chairs, for the amount of money that it is currently providing to Deck the Chairs. Moreover, when we're looking at where the funds are coming from for Parks and Rec, a lot of this is coming from, if not all of it, is coming from the Convention Development Fund. It's not coming from the general fund and our tax dollars, as we'd say it. It's a place where it draws visitors, and so there's a reasonable expectation that that is where the money would come from. The I have my list. So yes, Deck the Chairs is the organization that's doing all the heavy lifting when it comes to setting up planning. It's a year-long event to try and get businesses involved, set up the volunteers, and then for that whole time span to be able to get the decorations up, keep them lit, keep them looking good, getting all the entertainment there, and then doing all the breakdown at the end. It's a heavy lift, and Deck the Chairs is willing to do it. And so I fully support it because the city would not be able to do this, anything near this size on its own. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Golding.
Thank you, Mayor. I have to follow Georgette. Thanks. Okay. There's not a whole lot that I can add other than there's a few things I would like to say. After our council briefing, when there were some concerns raised about where the money went and the oversight of the financials, I sat down with Curtis and Margaret, who does their bookkeeping, and we spent a long time going through line by line every item in their last year's statement for Deck the Chairs. And a lot of you may or may not know, but I have a background in nonprofits, small nonprofit work, but I have done events, and I have to say I am totally amazed and impressed with what they are able to do, what Deck the Chairs is able to do with the amount of donations that they get from the community, the in-kinds that they get. I mean, it's just amazing what they're able to pull off, and for the length of time that they do this event, which is, 6 weeks. And if you were to compare it with some of the events the city currently sponsors, the jazz concerts, we do 2 jazz concerts, and we allocate $57,000 for those 2 jazz concerts. And the Moonlight movies, we have 4 of those, and that's $25,000. I wanted to mention too that in the past, Deck the Chairs has been pretty creative about, going wherever they can to get whatever support that they can to put on such a great event. And Atlantic Beach has supported the event with $1,000 each year to try to help Deck the Chairs continue to be successful. So, and then of course we all saw the Parks and Rec results where people, we're getting some feedback from the community that Deck the Chairs is an important event for the community. So I fully support this event. If, I talked to Curtis about this, and I really feel that the city needs to be more engaged with this event. I know that the city can't do a lot of the work that Deck the Chairs and the volunteers are doing, but one of the things that I think we should consider is maybe having someone sit on the board of Deck the Chairs, someone from the city, and that would be some internal oversight if we wanted to do something like that, to make sure that the city has some involvement with the event. So I fully support the event, and I have absolutely no concerns whatsoever with any of the financials after having gone through it with Curtis and Margaret. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Nichols.
I don't think anybody in the community or on the council doesn't think this is a very good event for the community. My concern, and I think it's been addressed in this new agreement, that there's more transparency, and for the auditing, I've heard rumblings for the last couple of years from the different entities, like that were supposed to get some of the donations and stuff, that they were dissatisfied with the amount of hours that they'd volunteered and what they actually received. But with the new format, and Mr. Ambrosio did a good job writing the new plan, I think there'll be substantially more transparency. I would like to see in year one an audit review by the city that we do go ahead and take that into account in year one, so we can move forward and we'll know where, really know where the money is going. But like I said, I think it's a great event for the community, but if it's not being done legally, or the taxes are not being done correctly, it could in the long term come back and bite Jack's Beach, and it could reflect negatively on us, and none of us want that. So I think it's a good agreement, and I think it's great for the community. I'd like to see it grow, but it just needs to be transparent and audited, and make sure that we all know where the numbers are. And I think everybody on council should have an opportunity to review the full numbers annually as well when they get submitted.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Doherty, quick revisit.
Yes, thank you, sir. Just following on about the event growing, I've had a few constituents who've reminisced about when we used to decorate the poles on 3rd Street. And I know that that's not necessarily a deck the chairs issue, but since we're getting all festive, I wonder if there's something that we maybe could consider in the future for, making up 3rd Street, which is the main artery of our city, more festive, and perhaps incorporate signage for deck the chairs, so that when visitors come here, they can find the pavilion a lot easier. That's it.
Thank you, sir. And I'm sure we can talk about that with Mr. Staphopoulos as we go through the budget. The four of us, Phil's not here, but Keith and Chris and myself and Phil, when we got on the council almost 8 years ago, we had a lot of visions, and we had a lot of hurdles too. We had 4 hurricanes, a pandemic, a global pandemic. We had social discontent or social disorder, I guess I'd call it. And now we got a Republican National Convention to think about. There's a lot on the table. And the reason I bring it up is because the one bright shining star of this whole thing is Deck the Chairs. We went through several iterations of, what's family friendly and the whole 9 yards. But Deck the Chairs has grown from, as Georgette, I'm sorry, as Ms. Dumont had said, we had just a few people hanging out in front of the first arch. There weren't very many people there, but there was a lot of promise. Jason Fastides, who's listening, used to attend all the meetings for Deck the Chairs when it first began. I used to attend most of the meetings when it first began. There was a glimmer of hope that we would make something that could potentially be comparable to St. Augustine. And I think Curtis has been able to do that and continues to move in that direction. There are a few things I'm prouder of than this event and what it's done for our community. And it doesn't matter what time you go there, what day you go there. It could be the first day or the last day. It's going to be crowded. You're going to see a bunch of little kids laughing and playing and pointing. And if you guys remember when we took office, it was pitch black. There was nothing back there. So my best to Curtis and his crew. I think you've done a tremendous job, and I'm going to fully support this initiative. And I see 2 revisits, it looks like. Let's try and wrap this up, guys. We're going to beat the heck out of this agenda.
Sure. The only thing that I'd like to say is, when this does come back around, because it's never been a competitive situation, I would like to see other people in the community have an opportunity to participate. Curtis and Deck the Chairs will have had a 10-year head start. So if other people propose stuff that the council at that time, likes better, I mean, I would be shocked. But, I do think you know, just having it open and having other people have input and stuff. You know, I think it's something that couldn't hurt.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Golding, real quick.
Yeah, I just wanted to make one other comment that I forgot to mention. When it comes to transparency and oversight, that's something that the Deck the Chairs Board is responsible for doing with regard to the finances. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with the members of the board, but there are some really, really impressive members of our community that are on the board. There's a former judge, there's, you know, CPA that's on the board. So these people, I mean, it's their reputation at stake if they are not, you know, monitoring and properly overseeing what Deck the Chairs is doing financially. So I have all the confidence in what they're doing, and so I'm fully supporting them.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I'm going to close comments at this point. We got a full agenda ahead of us still. Madam Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Demott,
Yes.
Councilmember Golding,
Yes.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols,
Yes.
Councilmember Doherty,
Yes.
Mayor Latham.
Yes. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks for the debate, and keep up the good work, Curtis. Okay, 123, please.
I move that we accept the financial reports for the month of May 2020.
Need a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion or debate from the council? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Golding,
Yes.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols,
Yes.
Councilmember Doherty,
Yes.
Councilmember Demott,
Yes.
Mayor Latham.
Yes. And City Manager, do you want to address number 124?
Yes, number 124 is a proposed budget workshop schedule for council's consideration. This is similar to what we have done in previous years for the council to get a good idea of what's being proposed through each department. The one thing you'll note is that we do have gotta find where it is on there, the budget showcase set for Friday, July 31st from 2 to 4:30. I think one of the things I've tried to telegraph to the council through several emails is that this will likely be a staggered event with departments coming in and out in order to provide the appropriate social distancing. So the only difference is that you will not have all staff there at the same time. They will be rotated in as we go through each department. Otherwise, we're looking for your direction.
Why, and I should have asked George Forbes this, but why do I always start with a late afternoon on Friday? When everybody's ready to go to Lynch's or wherever and get their favorite beverage.
If council would like us to move it to a different day or time, we'd be more than happy to look at the calendars.
Okay, well, the next council can keep.
That's
that.
happy hour, so no.
Okay, we got a motion and a second on the floor. Any
I have
discussion?
not made a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I move that we approve the budget workshop schedule.
Second.
Got a motion and a second now. Any discussion? Yes, ma'am, Ms. Hoffman.
I just wanted to note for the record that I will not be able to make the first reading as scheduled for September 8th. For the same reason I couldn't make the first reading last time, which is our Beaches Museum monthly board meeting. I'm fine with it carrying on though, so don't change anything for me, but just wanted that on the record.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other comments or debate? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols,
Yes.
Councilmember Doherty,
Yes.
Councilmember Demott,
Yes.
Councilmember Golding,
Yes.
Mayor Latham.
Yes, and Mr. Stefopoulos, do you want to address 125?
Yes, this next one is for a First Amendment for the renewal of audit services. As was discussed at the last city council briefing, the city of Jacksonville Beach currently uses the firm of Purvis Gray and Company to perform our annual audit services. You heard from our CFO, Ashley Gossett, about the change in state statute with regards to the composition of an audit selection team. If we were to go back out on the street, after discussion with council at that briefing, the direction we received was to prepare an item for a 1-year extension to the existing agreement with an option for an additional 1-year renewal as well. This will allow us to stick with the same audit firm while we continue to transition with 2 current systems up and running for ERP conversion. And that will allow the council after November to decide whether or not they want to continue for 1 additional year or go back out for an RFP. I do have Ashley on the line if you have any questions for her.
Good summary. Ms. Golding. Oh, I'm sorry. Can we go ahead and read the motion, please?
I move that we approve the First Amendment for a renewal of the agreement for audit services with Purvis Gray and Company LLC.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, and Ms. Golding.
I just have a quick question. I noticed in the table of the fees for service that in 2019, there was no single audit state if required, but there is for 2020. Can somebody explain to me, is that something that's new, also part of the state statutes or something?
Ashley?
Yes, sir. The state audit is only required if we have $750,000 in grant money issued to us from the state of Florida. So we haven't needed it in the past. I don't anticipate we'll need it again this year, but we wanted to give an appreciation for the potential maximum costs.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else have any question or comments for staff? Seeing none, roll call. And Ms. Golden, please drop your hand.
Councilmember Nichols,
Yes.
Councilmember Doherty,
Yes.
Councilmember Demont,
Yes.
Councilmember Golding,
Yes.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Mayor Latham.
Yes. And Mr. Stefopoulos of 126.
As for item 126, we're looking for an award of RFP for group medical and prescription insurance and benefits broker services. The city had last gone out for an RFP, request for proposal, in 2012. So it had been 8 years since we did this process. We thought it might be fiscally beneficial to us to see what else was out there. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Ann Muse, our HR director, to tell you what type of a response we received, what types of savings we're looking at going forward. With that, Ann, the floor is yours.
Ann, come in. Eartha Ann.
Can you hear me?
Now we got you.
Okay, very good. Sorry, I apologize about that. Having some technical difficulties tonight. Firstly, the city issued an RFP for group medical and prescription insurance and benefits broker services in April of this year. It had, as their city manager said, it had been 12 years since we'd gone out for RFP, and we felt like we could benefit from doing that. We got responses from 3 insurance companies, Aetna, Florida Blue, and United Health. Florida Blue was by far the lowest cost provider. They were also our incumbent as well. For benefits broker services, we received a response from Wingate Insurance Company, which is also our Abentrus. All 3 of the providers for health insurance indicated that their choice of broker would be Abentrus. So that's the reason why we had 1 response from them. On the health insurance, we're actually saving 7.5% over our present Florida Blue with all of our same benefits. So it was very beneficial for us to go ahead and go out an RFP for that. And for broker services, we actually are have a reduction in our fees as well from Abentrus. So I can elaborate further if anybody has any questions, but would request approval to go ahead and award this to Florida Blue and to Abentrus.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Doherty.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I almost collapsed when I saw that the insurance premiums were dropping. I think that's the first time in history that the money goes down. So is there any reason that we are getting a more competitive rate? Do we generally have a healthier staff, or is this due to market effect?
No, this is not due to market effects. This is actually due to a competitive procurement. I believe this agreement here will be for a 6-year agreement, and I think Florida Blue is local. And I think that they just really sharpened their pencil and gave us a very good rate.
Yeah, the savings are fantastic. Okay, thank you for your answer. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions or debate?
Would you like me to make the motion?
Yes, please.
I move that we award RFP number 02-1920 to Florida Blue for group medical and prescription insurance to Wingate Insurance Group, doing business as a Ventress for benefits broker services.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion or debate by the council? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Doherty,
Yes.
Councilmember Demont,
Yes.
Councilmember Golding,
Yes.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols,
Yes.
Mayor Latham.
Yes. And Mr. Stefopoulos, 127?
Yes, 127 is looking for authorization to proceed with replacing a damaged sanitary sewer manhole located at 10th Street South location. This is a site that has had some issues over the past few years, and the hope of staff was that it could wait until 2023 and be done as part of a larger CIP project. However, the condition at this particular location has gotten worse, and staff is of the concern that if we do not replace this manhole at this particular point in time, we run the risk that we might have some type of a future collapse, which may affect adjacent utilities and or the roadway. Staff did go out and receive quotes for services in order to replace the manhole, and they are looking for the award of that. I do have the Public Works Director, I believe he is on the line. But we do have Public Works on the line if there are any particular questions you have about this project or how we are proceeding.
Thank you, sir. Motion? Have we done the motion?
Nope. I move that we approve removal and replacement of an existing sanitary sewer manhole located within the intersection of Shutter Avenue and 10th Street South.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any debate or questions from the council? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Demont,
Yes.
Councilmember Golding,
Yes.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols,
Yes.
Councilmember Doherty,
Yes.
Mayor Latham.
Yes. And Mr. Stefopoulos, 128, please.
For 128, in a recent council briefing, we discussed with council the possibility of relocating the Veterans Memorial, currently located at the intersection of Beach and Second. That location is obviously a little bit tight, and it's at a premier downtown intersection, which makes having any type of events at that location very restrictive. Staff from Parks and Recreation have proposed multiple locations, and the direction from council was to do a little bit more of a due diligence for 2 sites in particular, Oceanfront Park and over at the Beaches Museum, where 2 locations were available. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Parks and Rec staff with Jason Fatides and I believe Trevor Hughes to talk a little bit about what the concepts would be at the alternate locations.
Hey, awesome. Thank you very much. Starting off, it was an honor to work on this project. Very proud of the guys, very proud of the effort that was put in. We have a very talented staff. We decided to take this on in-house. We do have a staff member that's graduated with a landscape design degree, and we decided to use his talents. First of all, we started at Oceanfront Park. That was one of the 2 locations we requested to do. As you can see in the picture here, the pavers there, we'll look at removing this half circle of pavers, remove this partial walkway, and then that would enable us to have the room. Yep, thank you, Jacob. And so this is the basic rendering. We'd come in, we would try and reuse as many of the pavers as we could, if we could find something to match, re-landscape it, have a palette that's easy to maintain that could take the harsh environment there And we just think this park would give us a great opportunity. Obviously, it has the large green space, great parking, and just great views of the ocean. If you could go to the next one, Jacob. This one here, this was actually when we went to the museum, and after further investigation, we found that there was really 2 sites here at the museum that would give an opportunity for a memorial. And this one here, we call it the central area. Really a cool story behind this one. Back in 1982, David Mordock was a Boy Scout, and he took this on and he created it to be the Veterans Memorial. For whatever reason, it never got officially stamped as that, but that was the intent. And actually, the resident still does live here in Jacksonville. Pretty cool story. But this one also, because there's already some pavers here, there's already a flagpole, it gives us the opportunity to do it the cheapest. We would come in and remove some of the landscape that's there, enhance the landscape, and just think that would be a really cool spot for it. If you could go on to the next one, Jacob. This was the area that we're calling the West End, or they call it the Wedge. This area is kind of gives us a unique garden feel. And as you can see from the entrance, there's already an existing gate here from the side. You'd come in, have the flagpole there centered up. We'd have the sidewalk put in, all the landscaping. Just think that would be a really cool area also. We've reached out to several contractors. We've gotten the bids. We really feel comfortable with these bids. We feel like these are obtainable numbers. Also, the other area, the existing Memorial Park. What we would do there is, obviously we would have all the monuments removed and relocated. Where the flagpole is now, we would put a medjool palm that would match the landscape that currently is in the downtown area. And possibly, if we have room, maybe some bike racks in those areas. And we feel like the restoration would be about $12,000 for that spot. Since this memorial project was not budgeted in 2020, these would be funds that would come from the general fund unanticipated account. And we'll take any questions.
Let's go ahead with the motion, Ms. Hall.
I'm sorry.
We have speakers, but we need to get the motion out first.
Okay, I just wanted to say that there's the 2 location options are listed in the motion. I'm going to go ahead and make the motion with my preference of locations. I guess if that's not agreed upon, we can decline that and do a new motion. But my motion is to approve the relocation of the Veterans Memorial to the Beaches Museum.
Second.
Okay, the motion is second on the floor, and Jacob, we have 3 speakers, is that correct?
Yep, just one person calling in. It's Ken Marsh. Ken, you should be able to speak now.
All righty, everybody hear me okay?
Yep, if you would, Ken, you know the routine.
Yep.
You can address in 3 minutes.
Yeah, Ken Marsh, 2011 Gale Avenue. First of all, I have to apologize to you all. Usually I talk to you twice a month, and here we are twice in one night. So I apologize for that. But I feel pretty strongly about this issue, and that is, I hope for you all tonight that this is a no-brainer, in the sense that I think in an earlier briefing, there was a discussion to bring this to some of the veterans in our community. And I truly feel that that's what this memorial is all about. It's a tribute to our veterans and the family of our veterans and our community. So if we haven't reached out to those people for what they want, I think we should table this. This is not an issue of urgency, but I do think it's extremely valuable that we understand where they wish to honor the veterans. And so all I'm asking here is, if we've done our due diligence and we've gotten some feedback from a fairly robust group of veterans and families of veterans and from the community, then simply just do what they want to do, because it seems like you've got 3 good viable options there. So anyway, that's all I had to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. The other two are with the clerk. Is that right, Jacob?
Yep.
Okay, Madam Clerk.
Okay, the first one I have is from Janelle Wilson, 2014 South Oceanfront, Jacksonville Beach, Florida. Thank you for your consideration in moving the Veterans Memorial to a different location, which can be more accessible. While on the council about 3 years ago, I was contacted by a citizen who is a veteran complaining that we do not have a Veterans Memorial. In checking and following up with him, I informed him we did have one. In the current location, it gets little attention and most do not know that it exists, as he did not know. We started looking into this at that time. We are fortunate to have several city parks and areas for relocation. However, I feel the Oceanfront Park at 5th Avenue South is the best location for visibility and accessibility. We already have a memorial in the same park with bricks for breast cancer awareness that the Donna Run started a few years ago. This Veterans Memorial would be in keeping with that. This location offers an open area where a visitor can easily find it and have space to reflect while listening to the sounds of the ocean. In light of this, I urge you to relocate the Veterans Memorial to Oceanfront Park. Thank you, Janelle Wilson. I have one more, and that is from Colette Sellers, 115 3rd Street South, Jacksonville Beach, 32250. We have a beautiful park on the oceanfront at 5th Avenue South, where kids play kickball, little dogs run in circles on the green, ladies sit on the stone stools and chat. People leaving the beach love to stroll through. Since we are like the United Nations, families with strollers learning our customs and language walk to their cars through this beautiful area. Many folks enjoy the UNF sculptures across the street and take selfies with the boy and the dolphin or on the staircase and Audie in Jacksonville Beach, parentheses. This park that was the entrance to our beloved old pier is a wonderful place to honor our veterans by creating a circle with the plaques and flags of our 6 services. I think we should choose this park that offers an inspiring spot for reflection with the balmy ocean breezes to remember those men and women who protected our freedom, and often on other beaches throughout the world. Respectfully, Colette Sellers.
Thank you, ma'am. That was the last one.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second on the floor. We've heard from our guests. Does anybody like to address this? Mr. Doherty.
Yep, thank you. This has been something that I've talked to several veterans about over the years, and our current, I think we can all agree, our current memorial is verging on disrespectful because of its location and the care of it. There's light is out half the time. There's been vandalism there. It's almost inaccessible for people to park close by or people with disabilities to get there. So I would definitely suggest that we absolutely move it. I have talked to people at the VFW. I have talked to people at the American Legion. I actually have a name in mind that I would like everybody on the council to consider dedicating this park to. And he is a local Jacks Beach resident by the name of Master Sergeant Gunnery Sergeant Benjamin Chitko. He died in Vietnam in 1967. He left 4 children who still live on 8th Avenue North. And, you know, he paid the ultimate sacrifice. And I think his family are deeply rooted in our community. So I know it's a side issue, but when it comes to naming rights, I would like us to discuss that. And I'm just putting that name forward. As far as location goes, both locations are very nice. You know, the tranquility of the and accessibility of the oceanfront park does have its merits. The only drawback I see is I would be worried a little bit about vandalism and the fact that some of our homeless people hang out there. There is a fence around the beaches museum, so it's more secure. You know, but I prefer. I know that Chris mentioned in her motion Beaches Museum, but out of the two, there was two options, and I think Museum Central would be my preference. The cost is almost 20,000 less than the Oceanfront Park and 25,000 less than Beaches, what are we calling it, Wedge, West End. So yeah, I'm glad we're really talking about this. I'll be happy wherever it goes. I think both locations are aesthetically pleasing. I do like, another reason why I like the museum as well is because I know that a lot of the local schools, like St. Paul's and St. Paul's Episcopal and St. Paul's Catholic and some of the other schools do field trips to the museum. I think it's important for our young folk to learn about our nation's history, learn about our sacrifices that men and women have made over the years. I do think that the parking situation at the museum could be beneficial because depending on what time of the year it is at the Oceanfront Park, that can fill up quite quickly because it's, as we know, it's free. It's not part of the paid parking program. So that's one of the first ones to fill up. And also it can be a little bit boisterous there. You know, there's people enjoying the park, making noise. And I always feel like when I went to the monuments up in Washington, that there's a somber tranquility vibe about the place. And so that's why I would slightly favor the museum over the Oceanfront Park, but I'm just happy that we're actually going to go ahead with this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Goldman.
Thank you, Mayor. I actually went and visited all the sites personally, and my personal observance was that there was a lot of traffic noise at the museum sites. But I thought, you know, I really wanted to hear from our veterans and find out what their preference was. So I reached out to Commander Prosser, who's with the VFW Post 3270, and he got back with me and he said that they briefed at length their membership about the movement of the Veterans Memorial. And he said that the members were in complete concurrence that Oceanfront Park was their perfect location for the relocation. He said that the Oceanfront Park provides a few things. It provides a backdrop of our greatest asset, the beach, and will provide us with endless possibilities such as an annual wreath laying ceremony into the ocean, a sunrise ceremonial spot that is very photogenic, and it's perfect for all ages of military and veterans, plus ample parking and restroom facilities for any and all events we could host down there. So given the feedback that I've got from the veterans group, my preference is going to be the Oceanfront Park because I respect what their preference is. And so I will plan to support that.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Hoffman. Ms. Hoffman, you're next on.
Thank you. Sorry, just getting to my unmute. I just wanted to disclose, I'm sure you guys are all aware that I'm affiliated with the Beaches Museum. However, this motion doesn't present any special gain to myself or the organization. So I did want to speak, though. I know you guys received an email from our board president as well as some articles. The biggest reason that I support the Beaches Museum is because through our docent guided tours that we offer for free 6 days a week, as well as through the free app that we've just created for the History Park and its features, we're able to provide a context. So it's not just going and looking at some markers, but we actually have someone or an app that is giving you the context, the history, why are these markers here, what do they mean, what do they represent? And again, that is free as is admission to the museum and the History Park. In addition to that, just the continuation of the original mission of the potential Eagle Scout, David Mordock, that he was in complete concurrence with the city on doing that, and the city of Jacksonville Beach didn't follow through in the end. So this to me is really, that central location is a continuation of that effort. Also, I did go to the Oceanfront Park yesterday, and there was no parking. There were kids screaming, dogs everywhere, and cars circling the parking lot. And I feel like it's probably like that most warm weekend days here at the beach, where the same day over by the museum has plenty of readily available parking. So I'm definitely an advocate of moving this, the Veterans Memorial, and for all of the reasons I stated, but in particular to be able to give context and access, as well as what Mr. Doherty said to, I mean, we have 12 to 15,000 visitors a year, and all of those visitors would experience the Veterans Memorial, whether that was what they intended to come and visit or not. They will all experience that, and I think that's another important component that this location has to offer. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Mott.
Thank you. When I go to the services in Atlantic Beach, Memorial Day services, every year it is very distracting because it's right on Atlantic Boulevard. And that's my main reason for not wanting it at the museum. This past year, Charlie and Sandy were both there. We couldn't hear, they had to actually pause because the traffic was too loud, and we still couldn't hear a lot of things that were going on. That's a huge concern, and I could see that happening on Beach Boulevard as well, especially when we look at doing some of those larger services. When you think about a Veterans Memorial Park, you think of quiet, serene place for reflection, and you don't get that feeling on Beach Boulevard. In the memo, it notes the reason that we're looking at moving it, which I agree with, is because the current location does not afford peace and tranquility for visitors. And I think that that is a very important piece. And with what Sandy researched and found, I am very much in support of Oceanfront Park for the relocation of the memorial.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Nichols.
Well, I agree that it needs to be moved. Couple of the issues that I have with the Oceanfront Park is I am up there fairly regularly, and I went up there within the last week, and there's a pretty heavy odor of marijuana in the area, which really bothers me in that location. I personally really do like the museum West End, just the design of it. I think they've done a great job. I think that's looked really well. Unfortunately, I'm almost to the point where I don't know if any of these three would really meet the peace and tranquility that I would really want to have. I just went to my cousin's military funeral last Friday, and there's a lot of people gave a lot of their lives and time and effort for our country, and I just think we just really need to find a really good place, not just a place that's acceptable. But of the ones that we have located, I do like the even though it's more expensive, the west end of the Wedge project I think looks fantastic. The other museum prior to that, and then the Oceanfront Park last. And the other thing that I like is the fact that with the monument, when people are driving into Jacksonville Beach from on Beach Boulevard, that they will see it and they'll understand as a community that we really support our military and locally. So that's how I'm going to vote. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm just going to mention that I was at the memorial service in Atlantic Beach, and thank you to Mr. Mine and Ms. Golan for being there as well. But I did take the liberty to walk around and ask several of the Veterans of Foreign Wars and the American Legion groups that were there what are your thoughts? And I just used the museum versus the park. I didn't talk about the two options at the museum. And it was almost unanimous. And I would say there were probably 20 people that I talked to that they wanted the Oceanside Park. And for those of you that have been in Normandy, it's the most reverent piece of ground I've ever seen in my life. But there's so many places you can stand there near a cliff and look out over the ocean, stiff breeze in the air, flags flailing, and it's a beautiful place. And I think somebody stated, I think it might have been Mr. Nichols, that it's going to be hard to find anyone that's going to give us that serene reverence because they're all going to be in a traffic area. But I think also the Oceanfront Park can be, particularly for events, special events like Memorial Day or Veterans Day, we can cone it out and block the parking out and make it just for the event only for a couple of hours that day, that type of thing. So did you have a quick revisit, Mr. Nichols?
Yes, I did. I would, if possible, like to wait on this vote and have them look at another location, maybe Gonzalez Park, that there's less traffic, and maybe come up with a place that, could meet everybody. So I'd actually like to move to delay this until this vote until the next meeting. Something that has to be done today.
I'll second that.
Got a motion to the table and a second. Any more discussion from the
There's
council?
already a motion on the table. The motion on the table right now is to move it to the
This is for an
museum,
amendment.
although it's not specified if it's the middle or the end.
Right, Mayor, if I may, Ms. Hoffman didn't specify which location at the museum, but Ms. Hoffman can amend her motion, and if that amendment is seconded, in her amendment, she can identify which of the two locations, if she'd like to do that, then she'll have an amended motion on the floor indicating which of the two, considering that the staff provided 3 different locations, 2 of them being 2 locations on the museum location. So Ms. Hoffman can move to amend her motion, and then it can be seconded, and then you could proceed from there.
Okay, Ms. Hoffman.
Move to amend my motion to specify the museum central location.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. Any discussion from the council? Okay, all in favor? I'm sorry, Madam Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Golding,
No.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols,
Yes.
Councilmember Doherty,
Yes.
Councilmember Demont,
No.
Mayor Latham.
No, so that puts us in a gridlock, right?
Motion fails.
Motion fails.
I'd like to make a motion that we move
I'd like to
the
give it-
Veterans Memorial Park to the Oceanfront Park.
Okay, got a
I
motion.
was already had a motion in line.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion or debate from the council? Miss,
Had a motion that was pending.
excuse me, please. Mr. Ambrosio, did you have something you wanted to add?
No, sir, I'm sorry, I forgot to drop the hand, lower the hand.
That puts you up, Mr. Nichols. Okay, Mr. Nichols.
Sorry, I had a motion pending prior to this motion. I'd like to run mine first because it had already been done and seconded.
Well, it actually was terminated because of the attorney's advice to modify the amendment through Ms. Hoffman.
And my hand was up and I should have been called next.
You have an objection? Ms.,
Let him have his motion.
Okay,
I'll remove my motion.
okay, so there's a motion on the table by Mr. Nichols, and did you second, Mr.?
Yes, sir. Yes, I second it.
Okay, so any other discussion by the council?
Can you repeat the motion?
The motion is to, it was,
My motion is to postpone
okay,
until our staff can review any other location, specifically Gonzalez Park, and have a vote at a later time.
Okay. We got that motion and a second on the table. Any other discussion, Ms. Hoffman?
Yeah, I wanted to say that the 6 or so examples that they brought to us originally, and the Beaches Museum was not one of those locations because I hadn't thought of it yet, there were none on that list that were originally brought to us that I would find more acceptable than Oceanfront Park. So just in terms of any deference to me or the Beaches Museum, I would say let's carry on.
Okay. Ms. Golding.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just mention that Gonzalez Park was mentioned when it was brought up before, and there was some discussion about that not being a suitable location because we would like to do some other things in Gonzalez Park.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Nichols, are you done? Thank you, sir. Mr. Doherty, you're done? Okay, so wow. So we've got, what's the motion on the floor? I'm sorry. The motion is?
It was the motion by Mr. Nichols to postpone this matter.
To table. Thank you. So the motion's to table. Any last discussion? No hands on the queue. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Hoffman.
No.
Councilmember Nichols.
Yes.
Councilmember Doherty.
Yes.
Councilmember Demont.
No.
Councilmember Golding.
No.
Mayor Latham.
No. So we're back at motion fails 3-3, right?
I would like to make a motion that we move the Veterans Memorial Park to Oceanfront Park.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Can I just clarify real quick?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I got Ms. Hoffman as no. I've got Councilmember Nichols as yes. Councilmember Doherty as yes. I've got Demont as no. I've got Golding as no. And
Okay.
I've got Mayor Latham as no. So I've got 4-2.
You're correct.
Okay. So the motion to delay to table was voted down. So now we've got a motion on the floor and a second to go to the Oceanfront Park. Any last discussion or comments? Mr. Doherty?
Yep, thank you. Hopefully my dog will stop interrupting. I apologize for that. I mean, I do think it is a nice location. You know, we've all been by that park. You know, I just think that it may be a little rowdy. And when I say rowdy, I mean, I'm talking about kids running around. And I mean, I love kids. I've got a couple myself. It's just, you know, in the ideal circumstances, it's the ideal location. But I just want us to consider that there's a lot of times where it will not be the ideal circumstances. So if somebody wants to go and meditate or relax, and I think Georgette mentioned the solemnity of the whole thing, you know, I just hope that it can actually provide that. And Mayor, you mentioned about, like, you know, our special occasions like Veterans Day, Memorial Day. Yes, we can do that and we can make it count. But I just envisage something that it can be used all year round. And, you know, I will vote for the Oceanfront Park now because it's 1,000 times better and where we have it. But I just hope that we don't, you know, turn it into like a bit of a zoo or a spectacle as opposed to somewhere that has to be honored. And that's just my only concern. But, you know, like I said, I'll still go ahead and vote for it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments? Madam Clerk, can we get a roll call, please? This is for Ocean Park option.
Councilmember Nichols.
No.
Councilmember Doherty,
Yes.
Councilmember Demott,
Yes.
Councilmember Golding,
Yes.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Mayor Latham.
Yes. Okay, so the agenda item is complete. And if you're ready, Madam Clerk, please read resolution number 2056-2020 by title only.
A resolution by the City of Jacksonville Beach, Florida, establishing golf course fees, providing definitions and guidelines for the golf operations policies, delegating authority to the city manager, repealing resolution number 2029-2019, and providing an effective date.
Go ahead, Ms. Hoffman.
I move that we adopt resolution 2056-2020 and its attachment A, establishing driving range rates for the Jacksonville Beach Golf Course.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Mr. Stefopoulos?
Council should have received a spreadsheet this afternoon, which showed the ancillary fees that we charge for such as golf club rentals. And it showed our rates comparative to other rates being charged at local courses. That's all. Just wanted to make sure you all got that spreadsheet.
I did get it. I hope everybody else did as well. Everybody's shaking their head, so we're good. Is there any discussion from the council? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Doherty,
Yes.
Councilmember Demott,
Yes.
Councilmember Golding,
Yes.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols,
Yes.
Mayor Latham.
Yes. And Madam Clerk, if you'd be so kind as to read resolution number 2054-2020 by title only, please.
A resolution amending resolution number 2047-2019 by the City of Jacksonville Beach, Florida, to incorporate new research results and council decisions in the matter known as the Lakeside Drive Gate, declaring valid public purposes for a manually operated gate to remain permanently closed with exception for the Kings Road Bridge closures, certain emergency events and public services, providing for legislative findings, council authority, staff directions, public purposes, repeal of prior inconsistent resolutions and decisions, severability, and an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Hoffman, let's go ahead and motion.
I move that we adopt resolution number 2054-2020 to amend resolution number 2047-2019 to incorporate new research, reports, and council decisions concerning the Lakeside Drive Gate matter.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Mr. Stefopoulos, do you want to talk about the amendments?
Actually, I'll turn it over to City Attorney Ambrosio if he would like to make some comments as to the contents of this resolution.
Perfect.
So Council, this resolution came about following a briefing where the council instructed me and Steve, our fire marshal, to look into two aspects of the Lakeside Drive Gate matter. One, for Steve to engage and look into the aspect of it being electronically controlled or manually controlled. And Steve had conferred with several of the local agencies, including Jack's Fire Rescue, police departments, public works. And then he reported back to council that those agencies and Steve recommended that they only need a manually operated gate. An electronically operated gate would not be necessary for them to provide their services. And then second, I spent additional time looking more into low-speed vehicle questions and the fact that we should not include it on a pathway where the pedestrians are going to be utilizing that path. And essentially all this information was provided to council. So this resolution is an amendment to account for those works that Steve and I did, and just to amend your prior resolution, which laid to rest the decisions concerning the Lakeside Drive Gate matter. And this resolution is just incorporates those findings that we had talked about in a briefing many months ago.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any other comments? I'll take that as a no. Okay, we got a motion, a second on the floor. Any discussion from the council? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Demott,
Yes.
Councilmember Golding,
Yes.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols,
Yes.
Councilmember Doherty,
Yes.
Mayor Latham.
Yes. Okay, Madam Clerk, if you would be so kind as to read ordinance number 2020-8144, second reading, public hearing by title only.
An ordinance of the city of Jacksonville Beach, Florida, adopting amendments to the Jacksonville Beach 2030 Comprehensive Plan Coastal Management Element to adopt new policies and objectives to meet the peril of flood requirements of section 163.31782F Florida statutes, providing directions to the Planning and Development Department, establishing severability and providing an effective date.
Okay, this ordinance for the amendment to the text of 2030 Comprehensive Plan is before the council for a public hearing and adoption on its second reading. Under the laws of the state of Florida, an ordinance which changes the text of any element of the city's 2030 Comprehensive Plan is a quasi-legislative proceeding. A quasi-legislative proceeding means the governing body is acting in its rulemaking capacity. It's the duty of the council to arrive at sound decisions regarding the proposed changes to the text of the adopted 2030 Comprehensive Plan. This includes receiving citizen input regarding any proposed text change. The application has been reviewed by staff and the Planning Commission for consistency with other portions of the comprehensive plan. Council may hear from all interested parties in the legislative determination of an amendment to the text of the city's 2030 Comprehensive Plan. The council's decision on a comprehensive plan amendment application is based on criteria set forth in section 34-182 of the Land Development Code. Each member of the council has been provided a copy of the criteria. This time we'll open the public hearing. Jacob, is there anybody from the public that has signed on to talk here?
There is not.
Okay, Madam Clerk, do you have any letters or emails?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay, so we're going to close the public hearing. And ex parte communications, before requesting a motion on the ordinance, beginning with myself, each of the members is requested to indicate for the record both the names and persons and the substance of any ex parte communications regarding this application. An ex parte communication refers to any meeting or discussion with a person or citizen who may have an interest in this decision which occurred outside of the public hearing process. I can state that I had none. And I'll start from my screen in the upper left-hand corner with Ms. Dumont.
None.
Mr. Doherty.
None.
Ms. Golding.
None.
Mr. Nichols.
None.
And Ms. Hoffman.
None.
Okay. If you would, Ms. Hoffman, please request a motion for the ordinance as read by title.
I move that we adopt ordinance number 2020-8144, adopting text amendments to the Jacksonville Beach 2030 Comprehensive Plan related to the peril of flood requirements of Florida statutes.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. And before opening the floor to discussion, or your questions from the council, please be reminded that our decision will be based on the criteria set forth in the Land Development Code, staff's report, the recommendation of the Planning Commission, and the public's input. Going to open the floor for council members. Is there any discussion by the council? Okay, we're going to close discussion and call for a vote. Madam Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Golding,
Yes.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols,
Yes.
Councilmember Doherty,
Yes.
Councilmember Demott,
Yes.
Mayor Latham.
Yes, and city attorney or city manager, did you have anything you wanted to add tonight before we wrap up?
I just had a few things, Mayor. One, I'd like to offer my help to Lori. I'll read any of the comments to help alleviate any of her burden of having to read so many entries. So anything you want to throw at me, I'll be glad to do it. If the mayor doesn't mind, I want to help. And then second, Mayor, just with reference to the interview panel that you questioned me or asked about with respect to the board candidate interviews, just so everyone knows that it's just not my opinion that I think it's a good idea to have the chairman of the board there and perhaps a staff liaison, but our code doesn't restrict that from happening. So it doesn't specifically say what the interview panel shall consist of. It also doesn't explicitly state how the interview process is to occur. It's just that the mandate is, of course, that council shall approve. So council retains the authority to approve that candidate. So again, I think it's a good idea to have a chair on there and then also a staff liaison if you'd like in our code. And I couldn't find anything else that restricts that from happening. So it's a good idea. And lastly, Mayor, I had several times asked for a closed session on the SLG case. And I'm going to postpone that until we're back to in-person meetings because there still is a collective and comprehensive agreement that it's very difficult to conduct closed sessions and shade meetings with the virtual technology, and some local government attorneys recommend not doing it. And in fact, a couple of our attorneys that we hire outside, they are counselors to multiple municipalities, and they're recommending to just delay that process until you have a chance to get to be in person and conduct the closed session as we normally would in in an in-person setting. So that's it.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Stefopoulos?
Yes, one item for just so that you're aware. As you know, we wrapped up the community conversations with the public, and we were not able to have a meeting in person with the business community. We have, however, scheduled a business community conversation, which will be held this Wednesday evening from 5:30 to 7 with about a dozen or so local business owners. So if you're interested in listening in, you can certainly tune in because we will be using the Zoom platform to hold that conversation. And that's all I have.
Okay, since we know it's going to be Zoom, does anybody want to be signed up besides me? Okay, Jacob, you see Ms. Dumont and I are going to be involved with that. That would be appreciated if you include us on the email list.
I'll make it happen.
Thank you, sir.
I believe I'm already on the list.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yes, I believe we have Mayor Pro Tem Hoffman will be the host, and anyone else can listen in, but not necessarily actively participate.
Sure. Okay. Well, guys, thanks very much. Long, arduous night, and we got her all done. So thank you very much, and have a great week. We'll see you next Monday at briefing.